My name is Randy Richards, and I'm going to be one of your teachers this week. I was recently blessed when Amy Dominguez reached out to me and asked if I would like to help out with Hands Offering Hope. I was thrilled with the opportunity. Before we go on, I would like to describe what I've done in my past a little bit. So after a tour in the United States Navy, I spent over 20 years in the oil and gas business. While I was successful at that career, I felt it was time to move on and do something else. So in 2013, my family and I decided that the time had come. I'd already been working with various youth groups along the way for about 6 years prior to that, and I really loved it. So I decided I wanted to do something with kids. So I spent a few years as a children's minister at our church while I went back to school to get certified, certified to become a school teacher. I finally became a school teacher, and for the past 2 years, I have been a high school teacher that teaches business courses. So that's enough about me. This week, we're going to be doing some exercises that will lead us to a point where we can successfully build our own CV. Before we get going, I have one more thing. It's very important. Have fun. Enjoy this time. Laugh at your mistakes while you're learning from them. If you can't enjoy what you're doing, you're just not going to be happy. All right, let's get going. I'm going to change this up here a little bit so we can... There we go. Now we have the slideshow. All right, so we're going to start off this week by getting to know ourselves a little bit better. And we're going to start with something called personal branding. Now, it's my understanding that you've had a little bit of this already. So hopefully what I'm going to do is add to what you've already learned. And if you haven't had this for some reason, then hopefully I'm going to give you enough information that you can get going with building your own brand. All right. So I guess the first question is, what is a personal brand? One definition says it's a widely recognized and largely uniform perception or impression of an individual based on their experience, expertise, competencies, actions, and or achievements within a community, industry, or marketplace at large. Now that's from personalbrand.com. Listen, there's nothing wrong with that definition. I'm a simple person. I'm a country boy at heart, and I'm a simple person. It's just a lot of words, and it doesn't resonate with me. So I found a better one, I think. Your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. And that's from Jeff Bezos, who, as you might know, is the founder of Amazon. I love that one. It's short, sweet, down to the point. It says exactly what it is. How do people perceive you when you're not around? And when you're around, for that matter. But what do they say about you? That's important. Because if they're saying something totally different than what you're wanting to present, that's not going to work out too well. So I guess the next question is, well, why do I need a personal brand? It's not a matter of if you need one. You already have one. It's a matter of what your brand says about you. Now, this doesn't happen overnight. A brand is built over time. It can be destroyed overnight. So be very careful. We'll talk more about that a little bit later on. Here's some ways that you can communicate your brand. By the way, let me stop one quick second. I will send out the PowerPoint presentation along with some notes to go with this video. I'm sure that at sometimes part of the PowerPoint is going to be cut off because of the video section up here in the corner. I apologize for that, but anyway, you'll get the gist of it, and I will send you out a copy this week. All right, so ways to communicate your brand. Well, first off, you need to have a focus. What is it you want to present? What is it you want others to know about you or to feel about you? You need to be genuine. If you're not genuine, if you're not real, if you're not the actual person that you are, people are going to know it right away. You're a fake. You will be a fraud. You're a phony. Sorry about that. Sirens going by. You'll be viewed as a fake and a fraud, and nobody's going to want to listen to you on that. So you have to be genuine, be passionate. That's when people are going to notice. Tell a story. People love stories. If you can tell a story and connect with somebody, that's where you're going to get the most traction. People will remember the story. People will relate to a story. People will have empathy for you with a story. Have a good one. Be consistent. Consistency over time will build your brand. If you're not consistent, you're going to tear it down. Be consistent with what you want. That goes back to the focus part. If you have a focus on what your brand is, you can always, always, always watch that. You stay focused on the ball, you'll be fine. All right. So your honesty, transparency, and authenticity are what's going to differentiate you in the long run. What's going to make you different from everybody else? Whether it's applying for a school or applying for a job. How are you going to stand out? Are you going to be just another average person, somebody that's wishy-washy, somebody that just kind of going through the motions? Or are you going to have some focus? Are you going to have a real brand, a real direction that people can say, all right, I like that. I like that. Remember, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. I know that's said a lot. I know that's it's kind of goofy, and yes, you can make up for that first impression. If you ever blow it, just remember you can make it up. But the reality is, so many times you only get one chance. One chance. You need to make it count. And then you need to build trust and reflect on who you are. And that's how you're going to build your brand, because you understand your brand. You are passionate about it. You want to convey this certain feeling about yourself. So if you're behind it 100%, it'll be easier for other people to trust you. All right, so how do we actually go about building a personal brand? It's easy to say. Sounds good. Well, what are we going to do? All right, so the first thing we got to do, let's determine our goals. What is it you're wanting to do? And I'm going to have some examples here in a few minutes, but that's the first thing. What are your goals going to be? What's your value proposition? All right, so what I mean by that is, how are you going to help other people? Or how are you going to be a benefit to those other people? Who are those people? How do you solve their problems? And last but not least, what makes you different? How are you going to be different from the person sitting next to you? You need to craft a personal story. We talked about this a second ago. People remember stories. Determine your character traits. Now, this one right here is pretty straightforward. You will need to ask other people what they think of you. So ask your friends, your family, your colleagues, anybody you can find, somebody that knows you. and have them choose some adjectives to describe who you are. If you don't like those adjectives, you need to maybe work on changing some of those. But take those because that's who you are. That's your current brand. And then from all that information, the personal story, the goals, your traits, you're going to boil it all down into a brand statement. So here's examples. Santa Claus is a CEO of a nonprofit organization that gives to children globally. With decades of experience in supply chain management and manufacturing technology, Claus has helped turn Christmas into the modern celebration that it is today. It's okay. Not great, but it's okay. Let's look what else we got. Here's another one for Santa Claus. Santa Claus is a jolly, grandfatherly figure behind the single biggest gift-giving operation in the world. Known for his spectacular flying reindeer and wacky chimney delivery system, Claus has become a loved cultural icon who's turned Christmas into the modern celebration that it is today. Same person, basically says the same thing. Second one's much better. Yeah. So which one do you prefer? Well, like I said, they both say about the same thing, but the second one has more energy, more personality, more exciting. It's going to grab your attention. All right. Before we wrap this up today, I want to remind you, you are always, always, always networking. No matter where you go, what you do, you are networking. You have to remember that, because as you're networking, what is that brand you're putting out there? Now, tonight, you may not have your brand yet. You may not fully understand what that is, but you need to remember you are always presenting your brand. The other thing I want to talk to you about is your electronic footprint. I'm much older. I did not grow up in a world of social media. I do use social media today, but I also have the benefit of being much older and seeing some of the problems that can come from it. In today's world, everyone can see your footprint. Colleges, universities, potential employers, they all go online to see what you've said and what you've done and to see the real you. Does your footprint represent who you want to be? If not, it might be time to change it. Change that footprint. Don't hit send. We used to have a saying that if you cannot say it in front of your mother and your grandmother, don't send it. All right, so tonight, your homework. I want you to evaluate your own brand and see if it's what you want it to be. Maybe it is. Maybe it's perfect. Maybe you know exactly what it is. Ask others what they think your brand is. Compare the two. Do they see the same thing that you think you're portraying? And I want you to write a paragraph explaining your brand. All right. You got a lot of work tonight? I know you can do it. And remember, have fun.